today is the last day of 2025. So we are ending this year with a hope that in 2026, we will begin a journey of rescue of our country. For proper socio-economic development that will be unifying and inclusive. We have all watched those who benefited from our democracy sometimes now become accessories to destroying our democracy, either through coercion and gangsterism against the opposition. We cannot allow this to happen. We will resist it. We've not seen people who benefited in our democracy be part of celebrating electoral fraud publicly. And we are saying that those who are planning to rig an election in Nigeria come 2027, we will resist it by every means lawful and legitimate. And we are urging this happen because we have weakened, which we are urging them in the coming election. We must do whatever it is to follow the rules and the regulation, starting by educational qualification for eligibility to sit for any election. We can no longer be where they are asking whether this person went to school or not. We have 1 year now to determine who went to school and who didn't go to school. We have 1 year now for people to tell us the school they attended. And when they left those schools, we don't want it to be something we go to court after election. They say it's pre-election matter. We have pre-election situation now to verify everybody who wants to contest the election for Nigeria. And we must follow that. Our commitment is about Nigeria. In all my touring and everything, we are committed to a better Nigeria, and we found all the studies that we have followed religiously, and I'm going to mention a few, to tell you why it is important what we are doing here today and why we must follow it, and know that two things are critical if we are going to turn around Nigeria. We must stay united. Nigeria today is not united. We must ensure the unity of the country. We must ensure we have competent leadership. I have followed by studies of where we have conflict, where we have strife, where there's disunity, and where there's unity, and what it brought about. Because of it, I've read several books in it, but I'm going to cite one which Professor Tommy knows very well. It took me to visit one of the best authors who wrote on conflict resolution and transformation, because we're talking about transforming our country. And that took me to read a book by Professor Nicole Fox of California University. And after reading that book, met with him alongside Professor Tommy, and after listening to him, I decided, for the interest of what happened in Rwanda, to visit Rwanda. And sat down, had the opportunity of sitting down with Paul Kagame to listen what he did in reconciling and transforming that society, which shows me hope that it can happen here. And if you look at what he did, it is evident that in 1995, if you look at it, the GDP per capita of Rwanda is $227. Today, it is $1,100, a growth of over 500%. While our own country In 1995, the GDP per capita of 1,225. Today, we are below 1,000. 30 years after, for the giant of Africa. We cannot continue this way. Our people are in pain. That is why we are coming to talk about how do we unify our country. Following that particular visit and the differential showing in underdevelopment of this country, I decided to go further. That took me to read another book, Growing Apart, which is a book about Indonesia and Nigeria. Indonesia and Nigeria have the same similarity in population, high population, cultural, economic structure, everything. However, after reading that book, I decided I'm going to take a tour of the United States to meet with Professor Lewis personally. When I sat down with him, what he told me was more revealing and shocking than what I read in the book. And I decided to take a trip to Indonesia to see what they did. That took me to meet with the Minister of Planning of Indonesia, Minister of Education, Minister of Small Business, Minister of Small Villages, Minister of Health. I met the Vice President and the most celebrated president in Indonesia, Joko Widodo, to know what they did. When you do at all this, one thing is very clear: unity and competent leadership. Unity and competent leadership. And if you follow what they've been able to do, today Indonesia is a commendable success. Where they've moved now, they've become one of the over 1 trillion economy. The first in Southeast Asia, about 1.4 today, and the biggest economy in Southeast Asia with per capita of $5,300. When Nigeria, again lamentably, is today our GDP have halved from what it was 10 years ago to 240 and below 1,000 per capita. What did they do differently? Competent leadership and unity have shown what you can do. In all the studies, like I said, following that, you've listened where somebody who won a Nobel Peace Prize said that Nigeria knows what to do to prosper. The 2024 Nobel Peace Prize winner in economics said Nigeria knows what to do to prosper, but refuses to do it. Professor James Robinson of Chicago University. I spent 3 hours with him in Chicago University to listen about what he has to say. It all boils down to unity, competent leadership that have capacity, have commitment and compassion to change the socio-economic of the country. That is what we are lacking. And that's what we need to change. What they did is not rocket science. It can be done here and we'll get the same result. It is not rocket science. I've studied it. I've followed it all over. One thing that is common about all these leaders is that they build consensus of their people. And how did they do it? By being honest to them and telling them the truth. A leader must speak the truth. A leader must be trusted. A leader cannot be part of telling people one thing and doing the opposite. You must do the same thing. If you must ask people to fast, you should not feast. Whatever you tell the people to do, the leader must show it. We can no longer sit in a country where our leaders tell us lie. We cannot. They are truthful people. They live a life of just. And that is what is lacking here. we have a situation where we said we are fighting corruption, but we have monumental corruption in front of us. We have a situation where we have closed our shop, chasing thieves, and allowing other people to pack whatever remains in the shop away. We borrowed more money than we have ever borrowed. We saved all the money we are supposed to save, and yet our people are dying of hunger. There's insecurity. Nigeria has never seen this level of insecurity. We have never seen this level of hunger. We've never seen this level of division, where our country is so divided that we are at the point of hating each other. I have traveled all over the place. And my appeal to all of us, to those who are visiting us, that we must come together, united, to be able to fight this. We can no longer allow those by dividing us. We can no longer allow those who live by making us poor. Nigeria is not a poor country. We are looted into poverty, and we must stop that looting. Nigerians are not lazy people. We've been betrayed. Nigeria, we can no longer continue rewarding criminals. We can no longer allow normalizing what is not normal. We must then change it. And to change it, we must come with unity of purpose. We are now talking about tax regime. How can you, everybody who knows about fiscal policy knows that a tax is a social contract. A social contract that when you empower your people, they become more productive and they pay you more tax. How can you tax people who are unemployed? We have 130 million people living in multidimensional poverty. We have 80 million Nigerians, young Nigerians who are unemployed, and you're talking about tax. You can't grow revenue when people are starving. You cannot grow revenue by throwing people into poverty. You must grow revenue. It's a bank account. You must pay in before withdrawal. These people are withdrawing without paying anything in. That must stop. And all of us here have a destiny to be part of that. To be part of that challenge. That's why we're here. We can't just say we are joining party. Why are we joining party? Are we joining party to continue the same criminality? Are we joining party to change that? We have become a crime scene. We are now called fantastically corrupt. We are now called disgraced nation. We now use everything. And I have gone around the whole state. I've been to IDP camps in Benue, in Plateau, in places where those who are in government fear to go or even fail to acknowledge publicly, denying it. I've been there. I see the people's pain. I see their pain all over. So we must turn around our country. God gave us everything. No country in the world that I can imagine that have what Nigeria has today. How can we be hungry? A country of 923,000 square kilometers. Today we are importing rice. Because they're telling you rice is cheaper. We are importing the rice that makes our rice cheaper. From another country, clean our farmers. When we should be doing it. Tiny country like Bangladesh. Bangladesh, a country with about 1/6 of our size. High population as we are, is producing 10 times what we are producing. In fact, you can compare Bangladesh with our two biggest states. Bangladesh is less than 150 1,000 square kilometers of land. Our two biggest states, Niger at 76.3 and Borno at 70.8, is about the size of Bangladesh. And we have a population of 171 million. Yet they are producing 10 times the amount of rice we produce. That is unacceptable. We must change this. And that is why we are coming to say that we want to start turning around the country from consumption to production. A new Nigeria is possible. And we cannot make it happen. We can create that what is there. So all of us that are gathered here, I being part of this from day one, because I've heard people say it's trying to defect or join party. I was part of this coalition from day one. So our people know I was part of it when it was being discussed. I was part of it when it was launched. I am saying that we are now calling, I thank all my leaders that are gathered here. You must have leaders if you must be seen as a leader tomorrow. Have leaders here. Achikudenwa is here. Okwesiasa Nwodo is here. Samuel is here. Ben Obi is here. All these people are mentioning today, as you know, Abaribe is here. I know why I'm saying this. These are people who are my senior in age, in politics, in everything. And I thank them that we say we'll be a family. We are not going to be a family of crime. We are not going to be a family to deprive other people. We are going to be a family of change. A family that will create new Nigeria. That is what the family is all about. We've watched people tell us story in midst of plenty and we're hungry. So we have all come together and to ensure that we become fully member of this coalition of ADC led by distinguished Senator David Mark. That is why we came together. We will in the coming months be able to tell you what this coalition have that is different from what is happening today. Because we must show the difference. That is why you are seeing from Osumbo to Tommy, they can't be a professor for nothing. They know what professors are suffering today. So their professorship must come with new ideas. We want to be able to change the country. And we are not just on ourselves going into ADC. We're also begging other people from other political parties. All the opposition must come together for the sake of Nigeria. Whether you are PDP, LDP, or any other party, we are faced with the existential threat, which we must all fight for the sake of our children. A new Nigeria, productive, all-inclusive, united Nigeria, where we will see each other as love, where we will turn around the economy, starting from agriculture and manufacturing. The empty lands of the north must be cultivated, while the factories in the southern part of the country must now function, be employing people. Thank you. May God Almighty. We must now do that and ensure that we will now talk about how we are going to create wealth based on proper physical policy that creates wealth by ensuring that we enrich the people so we can earn more. Those 80 million Nigerian youths, we must give them a hope to drive everything. One of the things that I learned in Indonesia is that 95% of their employment comes from small businesses. And they were mainly youths. I went everywhere to see what they're doing. And it can be done in Nigeria. Imagine when we empower 80 million youths. And those 80 million youths either employ themselves or add one more person. We won't talk about unemployment in this country. That's what we are doing. And we have people, senators here, dignitaries here. Look at, we have Ostobu here. He has been advising on economy. We want that he has advice to work on now. We look at Onyemu Gochukwu. There's so many of you that are gathered here. Let us come as a family under the ADC coalition led by David Mark to turn around our dear country, to stop this lamentation, to stop this crying, to make sure that people in ID camp go back to their houses, go back to their farms, to make sure that no Nigerian wakes up hungry. Thank you, and God bless all of you.
Of the party on this cap, I'm going to wear this cap for the first time. Let me also announce that this morning I resigned from the All Progressive Grand Alliance. So as of now, I am fully in ADC. Following my brother, Mr. Peter Obi, I wish all of us well, and I know that we're going to get there. When I was giving my last interview, they were asking me, how do you think it will happen? I told them, Mboru. Every Igbo man knows what Mboru means. Now it's Mboru.
When the time comes,
the time has come. The whole of us are going into ADC, and we shall remove the cancer that has held Nigeria down since 2015. We will remove that party that promised change but brought. What else did they bring?
yes.
That party brought death and